Chapter 6. The school's main office is mostly empty save for Janice, the secretary at the front desk. As always, her fanatical devotion to the color purple is reflected in every inch of her wardrobe. Behind her Coke bottle glasses, her magnified eyeballs scan me up and down as I follow Higgins inside. One eggplant fingernail taps a beat against her yellow legal pad. She does not seem excited by my presence. "Is this a disturbance, Principal Higgins?" she asks. Higgins gives a world-weary sigh. "Are you surprised?" She says. "Want me to pull the file?" "I might as well not be here at all." "Good afternoon to you too, Janice," I say, leaning around Higgins to pin her with my brightest grin. My shoulder protests the twist, still throbbing from Tommy H's tackle, but I ignore it. Might I say, that color really brings out your glasses. "That won't be necessary," Higgins says, continuing in the grand tradition of pretending I don't exist. "I think we've all got Munson's record committed to memory." "Don't say it like that," I protest. "That makes it sound like we're doing this too often, and I think we both know how much we enjoy our little chats." "Will you be needing other paperwork?" Janice asks. She doesn't come out and say it, but we all know what she means. Is this the day that Higgins finally fulfills his lifelong dream and expels me? "No," Higgins grumbles, and I don't fight the savage edges of my smile. If Higgins had something to kick me out on, he'd have done it already, but bad grades aren't enough to expel a student. I'm not cursing out teachers. In every fight I've gotten into, I've been the only one walking away with bruises. Not that this means Higgins doesn't pull me into his office every chance he gets. "With me," he snaps. I give him an overzealous salute, wink at Janice, and trail Higgins to his office. Sometime in the last 2 years, someone has apparently suggested that the principal's office door could be less forbidding. Higgins has dealt with this note by having a large poster made with the words, "Your Principal," with "pal" underlined, printed on it in blocky black letters. It's an easy sign to hate, and I can't count the number of times I've suggested Higgins swap it out. "Close the door," he says. I close the door and flop into the rickety chair across the desk from him. For a long moment, he just looks at me. I look back at him even harder. "Should I start?" I finally ask. "I didn't prepare anything." "Cut the shit." "If I had any shit, rest assured, I would cut it." "I didn't bring you in here to listen to you flap your mouth," Higgins snaps. "Then why did you, sir?" I ask. "Since I'm going out on a limb here, you don't actually care that the basketball team is beating up kids for their lunch money." "Oh, but I forgot. They're excelling, right?" Higgins' face is turning red with anger. "Is that excelling in academically? Or as in Tommy H's pops owns the most successful car dealership in town and you can't afford to piss him off?" "Don't test me, Munson," says Higgins. "You're on thin ice and it's already past cracking." "Oh, gosh. Living on the edge. I've never done that before. What's that like?" But in a real change of pace, Higgins is immune to my needling. "I brought you in here," he says, "so we can talk, man to man." It's cryptic enough to ring every alarm bell in my skull. I wonder if you've given any serious thought to your future." If I had a list of things I've been expecting Higgins to ask me, I wouldn't have even considered putting this on it. Never once in my 4 years at this godforsaken school has this man come at me with anything but rancid irritation, and now he's putting out his guidance counselor hat. There's got to be a twist. "Something tells me you're considering it enough for the both of us," I tell him. He snorts. "That's the one good instinct you've ever had." He laces his fingers together, leaning his forearms on his desk. It's the real, "how about you and I get serious" move, and it sets my teeth grinding. "Let's start off in the present, then, if that's the only thing you can wrap your brain around. We'll get to the future in a bit. I'm just going to ask you one question, and I want you to give it as much thought as you can muster. Are you ready?" I'm ready to pop my lid. "Let it rip, sir." "Why are you still here?" Maybe Higgins is right and my IQ is subterranean, because that's twice in one conversation that he's blindsided me with a question. I blink at him. He shakes his head, and the pity in that stupid gesture ratchets my jaw even tighter. "Simpler? Very well. What is keeping you at Hawkins High?" The fact that it's the middle of the school year?" Is that really something that matters to you? You obviously don't care about your classes. Your grades are in the sewer. There's no saving them, not even if you got a personalized gold star from every single one of your teachers. You're 18. You could go anywhere, do anything. Why do you keep showing up? I have an answer for him. It's, where else would I go? But there's no power in the world strong enough to drag it from me. I would actually rather die before giving him the satisfaction of hearing it. Not that he needs to. By the smug gleam in his watery blue eyes, I can tell he knows. Are you waiting for permission to leave? Go. I force a smile. But then what would you all do without me? You think you're cute, Higgins says, but I'll tell you what you really are. A rotting apple, and it's up to me to make sure you don't spread your rot to the rest of my school. But before I take more extreme steps, I thought I'd see if there was a tiny shred of sense beneath all that hair. Appeal to your better nature if you've got one. Blood is thrumming in my ears. That's a gamble. I thought so too, but I want you to tell me honestly. Do you think the boy out there would have run into the trouble you ran into if it weren't for you? You're crazy, I want to say. And so you admit that you let Tommy H. skate, but the words are withering in my throat. How long has Gareth been wearing his Hellfire shirt? At least once a week since Jeff gave it to him back in September. How long has the basketball team been on his ass? I don't want to think about it, but it's probably the same amount of time. I remember the way the poison in their faces had curdled when I turned to help Gareth. Freak King, they'd called me, like Gareth was one of my subjects, like that alone was something worth punishing. Without your club, that boy could be a vulnerable... The principal says, without your club, that boy could be a valuable member of the student body. But instead, he's wasting his time on... He can't say satanic. Separation of church and state, all that. But damn, he really wants to say satanic. On that fantastical nonsense that you continue peddling and paying the price for it, and he's not the only one. What's that supposed to mean? How long do you think it'll take before their continued affiliation with felon affects everyone in your little circle? I'm not a felon. You're a Munson. Of course, this is where the tide always turns, pivoting against my last name. It happened with Tommy H. and his cronies earlier. It happens with Officer Moore every time we cross paths. Munson. The only thing anyone needs to know about me, a name that tells the whole tragic tale. Your dad didn't walk out of here with a degree, Higgins continues. Neither did your uncle. I don't think a single Munson has successfully matriculated from Hawkins High in 50 years, and I don't see that changing with you. So do all of us a favor. Stop rotting out the good apples just because you can. My hands are clenched in my lap. More than anything, I want to take a swing at Higgins' self-satisfied face, but if I do that, I'll just be living up to my last name. So instead, I shove to my feet, hard enough to send my chair teetering on its back legs. Are we done here? Higgins doesn't stand. I hope so. Great. Without another word, I yank the door open and barrel past Janice, who I'm sure has heard everything, stomping out of the office. I don't know what I'm feeling when I emerge back into the hallway. Anger, frustration, guilt, despair. They all get snarled up in one another until they form a giant cotton ball, which plugs my ears and my eyes and my brain until all I can hear is white noise. Static. He called me a rotting apple. It's no worse than anything I've been told my whole life, so why is it getting to me now? How the hell has Higgins finally worried his way under my skin? Gareth is hiding his bruises beneath his Hellfire tee, the acid in Tommy H's eyes intensifying the second he saw me, the grip on Chrissy's wrist as her boyfriend dragged her away. From me. I stand in the hallway like a dumb statue as the images loop in my mind over and over and over. Something smacks my shoulder and I finally twitch back to myself, expecting to find Tommy H. or one of his cronies closing in on me again, but it's just Ronnie, one hand clutching her cap and the other balled up to punch me again. Ow, I say. Why? I've been calling your name for like a full minute. Are you okay? You're a rotting apple, Higgins whispers in my ear, but all I say is, I'm fine. Because Ronnie and I might have roots in the same trailer park, but she's got the golden ticket. She's got a future. And how could someone like that understand? Suddenly, I know exactly what I need to do. You sure? Ronnie is saying. Look, she trails off before continuing. What did Higgins say? I try for a grin. Pretty sure I missed by a mile. Same old, same old. She squints at me, studying my face. Eddie. I've got someplace I gotta be, so train's leaving ASAP. I jiggled my keys. You all aboard, or what? Always, she says. I just hope you know that. That was chapter 6. Chapter 7's next. I love you.